I think the movie serves many different purposes. Um, you know, from the most light and most frivolous comedies to movies that reflect about human condition and human spirit, and everything in the middle. They are made with honesty and dignity. They are all legitimate. I cannot ask a guy who has been working as a mechanic the whole entire week just to go on Saturday to watch 8.5, or a movie like this, because maybe the guy, what he needs that weekend is just to go with his girlfriend and take a big bucket of popcorn and just enjoy a movie that is going to make him laugh and go home with a big smile on his face. But there are other people too that love to go to the movies and watch something that is like this movie that we are presenting, the Scandinavian thing. So I have Puss in Boots in one side that is pretending in a world that is very confused and very violent to make just people laugh and having a good time. And at the same time we have something that has to do probably more with my own life, because with Pedro Almodóvar there is a very close relationship since the beginning of the 80s. It's almost 30 years that we've been there, and for me the movie was coming back home and going back to my family.
So, which movie would you choose if you go to a theater and you have to choose one or the other? To go first? Okay.
I will go first to see this one, and then I will go just to detox to see Puss in Boots. That will be the order.
So, but you know, yeah, you're able to do that, to just divide your career like in commercial and films and like independent and edgy like this one. But it seems that Pedro Almodóvar is not willing to do that, or not able to do that. And I read something that you say that he was just like telling you that you shouldn't be doing the stuff in Hollywood, and you're not supposed to play this character like it was a character in Hollywood. So
not exactly like that. It's not exactly like that. Pedro, of course, you know, he is. He would have loved for me just to stay in Spain and play only his movies.
His movies, not like
you know, his movies. But he has understanding at the same time, you know, because he's my friend, that I have to fly and I have to do different things, and I think we talk about that. You know, he's really happy that I came here and I made, you know, a career that was different to the one that I had there. During this period of 21 years, we had the opportunity to work together a couple of times, but I was attached to some other movies, so legally I couldn't get out of those projects in order to go and make his. No, and the rest of the question is interesting because it has to do basically with the creation of a character with him. What he doesn't like is that you arrive to rehearsals and you put on the table a bag filled with all the experiences that you have been accumulated with other people and other movies, because he's going to take that bag and he's going to open the window and going to throw it out. And he's going to say, we're going to start from scratch. We're going to start from the beginning. And that's the way that we used to work in the 80s, Antonio, and that's the way we're going to do it now. And if you think that I called you because I want you to do something that you already did in the 80s, in Time Me Out, Time Me Down, or Love the Sun, something like that, you're wrong. I want you to do something different. And from that moment, we start claiming this mountain. From that moment that he cleaned the table, we start creating this character. That I think even though some people may just compare him with the guy in Time Me Up, Time Me Down, I don't think they don't have anything to do, you know, anything to do. Obviously, there is a guy that is keeping a woman against her will in a room. That's it. The rest of the characters are completely different.
Is there a chance that you could do, you know, a movie ever with Penelope and Javier in the same movie? Is there a chance?
But there is a chance, because we are actors and there are people who make contracts with actors, so the chance is there. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Oh, would you do it then?
Oh yeah, I would do it. Of course, I would do it. They are great actors. Absolutely, yes, definitely.
What was the most difficult part of doing this role? I mean, you feel sorry for the character, and then that simply sort of fades and rises and falls throughout the movie all the way until the very end. So what was the most difficult part as to playing that sort of complex character that you actually find a little bit more about here as far as his backstory?
Well, the most difficult part was, first of all, understand what we wanted to do, where we wanted to take the character. And it was Pedro the one who proposed that we should keep the character very contained, very laid back, almost like a white screen in which the audience can write whatever their horrors were, limitless. And so you don't have the parameters of the character, you cannot measure him. And that makes him very inquietant, very unreadable. And so that, because when you, as an actor, when you see, a character on paper or on the script, which is bigger than life, you want to play big. That's the way you want to go instinctively. So, ooh, this is a character. I'm going to show muscles here. But Pedro says, no, back. That was one of the reasons. So it's a reason concerning narrative. But the other reason was directly attached to the character's personality and his psychopathy. This type of characters, and we have seen many times in news, serial killers basically, when they are caught by the police, put in jail, and the people interview neighbors and people, they normally describe them like wonderful people, charming guys, well-dressed, well-mannered, polite, they went to church on Sundays. But they had 5 guys mutilated in the fridge. So he said to me, we have to go there because these guys melt perfectly in their society. And there is also a reflection about hypocrisy there. It's not how you look, it's what you are. And not only just for the people that you may have around, for the people that you may have inside you. And the character is true. He got a certain amount of, he can be sympathetic at a certain point to an audience, but that is because of the narrative process that he followed, which startled me when I read the script for the first time. The first part of the movie is a question without an answer. But you start knowing that this character lost his wife, so that makes him a little bit sympathetic, that his daughter is in an institution, mental institution, because of that problem. You see, the guy taking care of his wife, burned in bed. So you start approaching him, this woman that is locked in there, she has done something, because this older lady is coming to him and saying, why don't you kill her? Yeah. And so you start positioning, or Pedro start positioning you in terms of morality in one way. And then the story started unfolding, and all these disturbing answers start coming, and he takes the whole entire audience and reposition them again. But something remains from this tormented kind of guy. But in reality, it's a sick person. It's a monster, but it's a sick guy. And on that salad that we have in there on the table already, there is always floating a reflection about creation. And a reflection about, this monster is a monster, but it's an artist. It may be me. And he got this creation, and at the end you may feel like he's falling in love with her. But he's not. He's falling in love with himself and with the masterpiece that he has done. It's almost like Raphael or Leonardo da Vinci had the opportunity to get in bed with La Gioconda. It's the kind of sick game that he's continuously playing in the movie. There are references actually to creation in movies, to directing. I could have in my bedroom a TV set that is like this, just to check it out. No, the TV is a movie screen, in which he's watching this. And Pedro, if you realize that, always photograph me from the back. It's almost like a director watching his own movie, in a way, and then eventually jumps and be part of his own movie. And if you remember, in the mind of the guy, it doesn't exist the possibility that this woman actually is taking the lead. Mm-hmm. But she does. What happened is that in terms of narrative, that happens at the beginning of the movie, but in real time happens at the end. There's a scene in which I am with her with a pipe of opium in my hand, and suddenly she starts saying, why don't we live like two people that are normal? I said, we're not normal. And the guy tried to escape, and she is actually saying, I'm yours. He cannot take this. How is it possible? How my creation is talking to me? It's almost like this guy who's playing God is attacked by his own creation, and I cannot happen. So there is also all this kind of reflection inside the movie, besides what it's telling you specifically, you know, about the life of this particular.
Do you have that kind of passion with your work, with your movies?
I do, yeah. I do have a passion with my work. And yes, Almodovar said, he gave a key actually when he was doing the press conference in the Cannes Film Festival. Right? And it's true because I directed 2 movies, and directing movies make you think very much in many different aspects. He says something, he says, directing movies is like becoming God. Why? Because you create an universe in which you establish the rules and the rhythm and the codes that you're going to follow. And Pedro, specifically, has been breaking the rules of movies since he started working. And the reaction of the people is always very radical. They love the movie and they want to just put us on an altar, or they want to crucify us. Crucify us. Because, yeah, it's radical. You need time to metabolize his language. You need time to digest, you know, and to put together what he's thrown at you. This movie, one of the reactions that many people had in Europe already, the movie has been open for almost 2 months, is that the movie travels with them, with the audience for 2 or 3 days, stays there, and it goes everywhere, you know, blah, 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 it makes you reflect a lot. That doesn't happen with mainstream movies. You enjoy the 2 hours, but 5 minutes after you leave the theater, it's gone. It just flies away out of your mind. But this type of movies, no, because it's just attacking you in a way that is very disturbing, not only because of the issue that he's talking about, but the way that he uses to tell you the story.
You spoke a lot about this character and sort of his disturbingness, his sickness. And then you talked about him and his creation and whether or not he was falling in love with it, but then he actually wasn't. My question is, for the creation, do you feel like that was his muse, or do you feel like it was his creation, or that it went both ways? And secondly, because I don't want to spoil it, but had what happened not happened, do you think he would have eventually bored of her?
Let's see.
Like, did one of them have to get rid of the other, or could they possibly have ended
There was
up?
not a path for them.
There was no way.
No. We talk about this, and Almodovar disagree on that aspect, but it flowed in my mind all the time when I was doing the movie that from the moment that his daughter dies, he's almost like in a suicidal path. In one hand, he want to fulfill, as a scientist, you know, all his skills that makes him probably better than the rest of the people surrounding him, and his arrogance and his ego wants to take him to perform actually his ideas. He's restrained by something. That thing is released when my daughter dies. And he uses an excuse, that, the raping of my daughter. Revenge, which may be for many people the issue of the movie, is for him an excuse. An excuse that's to let it go and start going in one direction and fulfilling something that was a dream. You can tell it was kind of a suicidal path. I would have loved in some moments, you know, to think that when the woman is pointing at him with the gun, that he would have said,
Go for it.
this is what we came to.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew that sooner or later this is going to happen, so let's be it. You know, but Pedro didn't want to go there because that would have been an easy path. That would have been an easy path. Pedro prefers to just make it a little bit more complicated, you know. I don't know if he answers your question.
Would he have bored of her soon? Because it was his creation and because of the ego?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know. I think he would have gone with it.
Okay.
I think he would have gone with
Antonio, yeah, I want to ask you about like the fact you mentioned that this is quite different than the character you played in Atame, Tied Up. What's the name in
Yes.
English? Yeah, because even if these are kind of crazy people, I mean, the other guy was more playful. This guy's more sinister. So I want you to talk a little bit about the genre in this movie. I mean, you have done an interview with a vampire a while ago. You've not been into like horror movies a lot. Almodovar has done many thrillers, but this one seems to me that he's more closest he's getting to horror movies. Did you talk about horror movies in in terms of your character. I mean, Frankenstein, of course, is there, but this is a beautiful creature. It's not a horrible creature. Did you talk about horror in the development of the character? Did you watch any specific movies about villains, like evil scientists or stuff?
But the difference, and very fast, the character in Tiny Artemida was a victim from day one, you know. And actually, there are two outcast characters: the one that I kidnap and the kidnapper, both of them. And there is a moment in the movie that they recognize themselves completely. It's almost like a mirror, and they can go together. They get a future together. In this case, there was no future. Obviously, because there is a game with identity and changing identity that the other person doesn't accept it. Because one of the issues of the movie is about survival.
Sure.
Totally. We talk about horror movies. Yeah, but Pedro is a genre in himself. He catches and references many other directors, many other filmographies, many other styles, but at the end he creates his own. He never wanted to do a movie with a boo behind the corners or anything like that. No, the horror is something more eerie and more in your subconscious, icy. It's almost like a scalpel, you know, that just goes and if you don't put attention, you don't even know that somebody's carrying you.
Yeah.
And suddenly you look and oh my God, and you have here a big thing going on. That's what he wanted to do, but he didn't want to use any type of genre. He gave me one movie as a reference, but it was for acting only, and it was called the Red Circle. The Red Circle. It's a movie with Jean-Louis Trintignant and Alain Delon, made in 1959, I think. And it was a movie. He gave me the movie because the actors were almost expressionless. In a drama that was the trauma of gangsters, very truculent, but there was almost nothing happening on them, you know. And so he made sometimes references to me to those actors, American actors in film noir movies in the 40s and the 50s that they played not so with so many gestures as modern actors may do. You know, characters that actually you can read and you can put on them more of you, because not everything is cooked. It's half cooked. So you can actually get into their minds and you can actually complete it, what is half done by those actors, you know.
What about that scene when you sit in the theater with Melanie? How do you guys react?
To this movie?
No, oh yeah, well, you're in the middle of theater sitting with your wife, and
Yeah.
a love scene comes up. How she reacts?
Oh, with the love scene?
Yeah.
She knows that is a lie, because she knows how to shoot movies and she knows that we have 150 people around. What am I going to do there? Besides just being just touched by makeup artists every 5 seconds.
And the last one is, do you think this is an Oscar material movie?
Ooh.
Come on, come on.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Cuídense.